Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October meeting of the Wilmot Township Committee of Adjustment. I'd like to read the land acknowledgement agreement for Wilmot Township. We have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee and the Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with the One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between the indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and to Mother Earth. We should only take what we need and leave enough for others and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, the Métis and the Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community. I'd like to introduce to you this evening our committee in no particular order. We have Mr. Stephen Miller, Mr. Tyler Bowman, and Mr. Peter Rowe. Also with us, we have Mr. Andrew Martin, who is our Secretary Treasurer, planner for the township and the township's EDO, as well as Mr. Cameron Miller, who is a township planner and will be introducing our applications this evening. I'd also like to thank Mr. Carl Jeffries, who is the technical wizard who is putting this all together. So thank you all. My name is Wayne Roth. We are an independent body appointed by the Wilmot Township Council, and we have the power to make minor changes to existing zoning regulations and to approve some changes to existing non-conforming uses, as well as to give consent. Each applicant will be noted in writing of the decision of this committee within 10 days, and with that decision will be instructions on how it can be appealed. Any decision made by this committee can be appealed to the Land Reform Commission, who will then hold a meeting and make a final and binding decision. If it is, again, with the decision on a minor variance and a consent, the process is the same. And after 20 days from the date of this meeting, if the consent is not appealed, it will become final and binding. The format of the evening will be as follows. We will have Mr. Miller introduce the application. The applicant will then be invited to come forward and add any additional information if they wish. And then anyone from the audience will have the opportunity to speak. And it is my understanding that we have no one registered this evening. Committee members may then question the application and the committee will make a final decision. Are there any pecuniary interests under the municipal conflict of interest this evening from any member? Seeing none. Mr. Miller, would you please introduce the first application?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The first application is a minor variance application, A08/20. It's concerning 96 Alderview Drive in New Dundee. This application is proposing to reduce the front yard setback of a single detached dwelling from 7.6 meters to approximately 6.06 meters. So following an inspection by township building staff, it was determined that a construction of a porch had begun without a building permit. The owner was notified that a permit would be required for this project, and as documents were brought in, it was determined that the front yard setback did not comply on this project. And so the owner was told to apply for a minor variance if the project were to go ahead. With the front porch being attached to the house and covered, it's considered part of the main building, so it's therefore subject to the same front yard setback of 7.6 meters. In circulating the application, staff didn't receive any concerns. In fact, we actually received 2 letters of support as well as a phone call expressing support. Staff are of the opinion that there wouldn't be any anticipated compatibility issues with this proposal and are therefore recommending that it be approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Mr. Martin, I don't believe there's anyone registered to speak to this application.
Correct.
No? Okay, thank you very much. Then I'll turn it over to members of committee. Any comments or questions? If not, would someone bring forth a motion to approve?
I'll move that.
It's been moved by Mr. Bowman and seconded by Mr. Rowe. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the next application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The next application is a consent application that was deferred at the Committee of Adjustments last meeting. This application was deferred until such time that council had taken a position on the related zone change application 06/20. This application was approved by council on September 14th, 2020, and it's therefore being brought back to the Committee of Adjustment to consider the application for consent. So this application is proposing to sever approximately 0.2 hectares from the subject property to create a new single detached residential lot. Through the zone change application process, concerns with respect to the impact of an additional septic system on neighboring wells were discussed in length. And these concerns were also addressed in a hydrogeological report that was part of the zone change application process. This concluded that there'd be no impact on neighboring wells, and therefore council approved that application at that time. Given that the lot area of 0.2 hectares is consistent with what's in zone 2 and was already approved through the zone change process, this application for consent simply is implementing the decision of council and is through the actual creation of this lot. Comments from the Region of Waterloo requested lot grading plan and erosion and sedimentation plan, as well as the issuance of an access permit since he's creating a new lot, a new driveway would be required. So these are implemented in the standard conditions of consent, and staff are recommending approval of the application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Is there a registered delegation on this application?
Yeah, I just we should see the delegation popping up shortly. I don't know if he had anything to say. I think he's here to answer questions, though, if there were any.
Okay. All right. We'll wait for. I don't see him.
His video's not on, but he is here with audio. Yes.
Okay. Sir, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think you guys said what needed to be said, and I'm fine with everything that was said.
Okay, thank you very kindly. I'll turn it over to members of committee. Any comments or questions? See, we have a new delegation coming into the fold. That's good. Good for him. He doesn't have any comments or questions, does he? No. All right, good. Thank you. No comments from members of committee that I can see. Can I then have a motion to approve? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Mr. Rowe has moved the motion, seconded by Mr. Bowman. Do I see your hand?
You can.
Yes, I do. Okay, thank you. All right, the motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? It's hard to get a motion out of you folks here on Zoom. So, no questions. All in favor? That has been approved. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, guys.
The next order of business is we need to approve the minutes of the last meeting. So could I have a motion to that effect? Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Miller. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting. Mr. Martin, do we have any applications for next month?
We do have at least one application. I believe there's one other one that's been inquiring. Whether they actually follow through and make an application, I don't know. But there will be at least one application for a meeting in November.
Okay, and I guess the process will be exactly the same. So I look forward to seeing everyone then. Thank you all. Stay safe and be healthy. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.